and welcome everybody to the second of our CAP Talks. Last time we went to the world of the opera. Today we take you on a journey to fitness and health. And with me today is Marcus Alexandersson from Salix Health.
Yeah.
And we want to start by getting to know you a bit more. So what I know of is that you are a personal trainer, you are a group training instructor, you're a massage therapist, maybe also some other things that are part of your job that I don't know about. But could you tell us a bit more about what is it that you do and how did you, come into this? What made you think, okay, this is my professional journey, what I want to do with my life?
Well, for starters, I do have my own business with all the things that you just encountered and just told me about. I didn't even know that I was in the suits, but still, okay. And I give or take run everything by my own every day and try to get as much fun out of it as possible.
And you say, okay, so first and foremost, I have my own business. So, when did you decide, okay, I want to run things myself? I don't want to, work for someone else or be an employee.
I started my own business at 2015, if my memory is not totally wrong. And I started at home first as a masseuse. And afterwards, when I started working as a personal trainer, I found this cozy room and started to have it more like a business next to the gym. And now, of course, what we do in our course Communication Among Professionals, we explore different areas of communication. And this is also communication as part of your job, what we want to focus on today. And I'd be curious to start off with, to say, what do you think, how important is communication and what you do? Working with individual clients, but also working with groups. And how big of a part of your job is it actually? Everything. You need to have a good communication with everyone, and the way you present yourself, present the way you want things to be done. It's the most important thing, because or else you won't get any results. You won't get the happy clients, you won't get people who feel that they got something out of the experience with you. So communication is the first one, is the biggest one.
And now I think also, now we also of course talking about interpersonal communication when people meet you here, but then of course we have social media, you have your blog or website, so what would you say, how much time do you dedicate to that?
I have several kinds of social media. I have Instagram that I use give or take every day. It's all from selling ads to just putting on some fun stuff. And then I have my blog that's a bit inactive in right now. And I have my own personal site where I put in scheduled hours where people can book themselves a massage and things like that. And those three parts are really my way of bringing customers, my way of showing them who I am, who I can be for them. So yeah, social medias are really good, but the thing I love the most is this face-to-face. I love drinking coffee with people and just explore what kind of persons I have in front of me.
Great. And when you say, okay, something like that what you like the most is being let's say talking face-to-face to people, and maybe that comes more naturally to some people than to others. So would you say the work with communication and that being such an important part of what you do every day, is that something that you would consider really intuitive, self-taught, or was that also part of a formal training you did, for example, for being a personal trainer?
No, I think that's something that's been in my genes since I got born, give or take. My mom always loved to talk about everything and anything with anybody, and she loves having people over. She loved us getting to know other people, and I think that is just something that I've been grown up with.
And also, for example, when you look at, for example, social media and how you, for example, find clients, or how you, for example,
Yeah, let's stick with that example of finding clients and attracting clients. So would you say that is also more of like a trial and error? So I start my Instagram, I start like, let's say, my web page, and then I just see what works and what does not work, or?
Yeah. Every time you do something in social media, it's a give or take. If you do an ad, you perhaps might get one customer or none. Or you can get 10 customers that just saw this ad and think it's a good thing. It's no wrong or rights in what you do on social medias, as long as you always encounter what you want to have with the ad.
And now we're actually engaging in one of your favorite activities, drinking coffee with other people. And we're sitting in your massage parlor.
Yeah.
And however, also a lot what we talked about, what is also part of your job, doing group training, being a personal trainer, happens in a different environment in the gym. And I would suggest that we now switch locations and get more active and head to the gym.
Yay! Cheers!
Okay, now we're in one of the group training rooms here at Nordic Wellness Majorna, in which you're also working in. And now I would like to take a bit more about communication with individual clients. In the first part, you have already talked about how you build a customer base, that you, for example, use social media to attract new clients. And now let's take it one step further, and you have already been in touch with a client, and now you're getting on a journey of like working with a client, working on, for example, goals of, like, let's say, what people want to get out of their training, how they want to, like, let's say, eat, or how their diet should look like. And I think an important part in there is trust. So what would you say, how do you build trust with your individual clients?
My way of building trust with my clients is being personal. I let them know a bit of my journey, what I've been handling in the past and what I have handling right now. Most of the clients that I have is give or take the weight loss or injuries and things like that. And I've been doing weight losses myself. I've been really big, and I know how it is to feel like you're too big for anything. And that's a really easy way to get trust with somebody, if you be personal with them.
So you share something of yourself
Yeah.
to say, okay, I've been there, or you make yourself also maybe in a sense vulnerable.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Most of the clients that I have stays with me because they know the real me, not the training Marcus who shows my muscles, or the training Marcus who don't eat any crap food. I do tell them, everybody, that I eat pizzas, or I love chocolate, or I have days that I'm not training. And that's a good way of building trust. Be human, be personal.
And you already said, so people come because they want to lose weight, and maybe they have like injuries, and now they want to recover or get back into training. So would you say, or how would you describe your client base? Is it like, let's say, very mixed bag of people, or?
Yeah, it's really mixed. I have everything from 15-year-old girls who just need to get into the gym to start having self-esteem about the gym. And I have 60-year-old guys who just want to stay healthy as long as possible and try to strengthen up the bones, or receiving the muscles, or keep hold of the muscles that I still have. And I kind of love that, not having one type of customer and having a widening.
And I think you now also get into an aspect that is very, very like important in this whole, like if we talk about fitness and health, and of course now if we see like the equipment behind us.
Ta-da!
So this is like very much all, okay, we're like, it's a physical thing, we're working out, but it's so much connected to like mental health and
it is.
self-esteem, self-empowerment, and I think which we also, like, let's say, cover. And I think, like, let's say also, of course, we have, like, let's say, working with individuals, as a personal trainer, but you also do like group training,
Yeah.
and this is something I'm particularly interested in, as this is like a journey I'm starting out with myself right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'm really, really interested in understanding more about it, like the communication aspect of it. So when you have like, now you can only see like a very small part of this room, but if we have a full class in this room, it's maybe 40 people.
I think
30
it's 50 people that can get in here.
So now we have 50 individuals, and they may not only, like let's say, cover a wide, like let's say, range of age, but also we have people that may be in a class for the first time. We have maybe like, let's say, really the regulars that are really devoted to coming every week to a class. People that are like, let's say, cheering you on in the first row, or people that are very, very skeptical in the last row.
Yeah.
And ideally you want to establish a connection, or you want to make contact with all of them. So how do you feel like, or what do you think is important for communicating or connecting to people in such a group setting?
It's like when you do a big show. If you go to a theater or anything, the first minute that you're starting to speak or anything should be that one. It should be intriguing. And I always try to make people laugh. That's the easiest way to gain trust. And it's a really interesting way of seeing how people can go from "who are you" to "oh my god, you're funny." And you can connect to so many people in so much levels. So that's often what I do. Try to make them to laugh, try to get down the expectations of being, okay, we're going to train, we're going to die in this place because it's going to be so rough, it's going to be so hard. Just get down and, hey, I ate a hamburger earlier. I just need to burn that off. Can we just please have fun? That's the easy way. And I think I can do it really good most of the times.
And I think when you speak of, okay, humor is really important. So then you also talk about, like, let's say, the actual verbal communication, what you say to people. But I think you also have that aspect of non-verbal communication, like your facial expressions, your gesture, how you communicate with your body. So what would you say, how important is that in a class setting?
That's really important. If you're sitting like I'm sitting right now, it's give or take, okay, I'm intrigued, but do not come too close. If I'm more like this, it's give or take, okay, let's have fun with this. I'm almost often the person who dances on the stage a few minutes before the class started, and everybody is like, what the hell is he doing? And afterwards it's just like, okay, he's taking it down a notch because of he didn't say something funny, he just moved his body, he just showed that he's human too. So body language, facial experience, everything.
And now we have, of course, facial expression and, for example, using humor, and those are like some strategies that you're using. At the same time, you, like, let's say, also instruct classes from, for example, Les Mills, and they have, of course, they have choreography, they have music, they have like a certain idea of how, like, let's say, which instructor style fits which concept. And you also work with some concepts from Nordic Wellness, some house concepts.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are also, like, let's say, some ideas or some guidelines on how to work, let's say, with these classes. So to what extent do you feel, okay, so I need to adhere to a certain idea how a class should look like, given by Les Mills or Nordic Wellness? And to what extent do you feel it is also, like, let's say, an individual, like an individual class I'm doing? So.
When we go with Les Mills, it's you have these types of guidelines you have to work from. But I've been doing Les Mills so many years. It's my first concept is body pump. So I've been going from that type of instructor to molding it into my own. So I'm a bit rough around the guidelines, if you can say it like that. The other classes that I have with Nordic Wellness or my own, I don't think I see the guidelines in the same way. I do everything most out of fun, just to share a happy thought or just having fun at training, not to be this guideline writer.
And would you say, for example, if you look at the Les Mills guidelines, do you feel they are a constraint to you, or are they also like a helpful guideline?
Les Mills have helped me a lot. Like I said, it was my first instructor role, and I learned so much about how being verbal, how, like we talked about earlier, how the body has a language, and also how to connect with people in different kind of ways. You can say one thing and 2 people out of 50 knows what you're saying, but you can tell the same thing with other words and the other 48 persons understands it as well. So Les Mills have helped me a lot of being the instructor that I am today.
But then, as you would say, as you go on, you have developed and maybe found more of, like, let's say, your own instructor voice, maybe in a sense.
Yeah, everybody is an instructor with these kind of guidelines. Then you can flavor it and just do your way about it. You're one kind of instructor. I'm a different kind of instructor. The other ones who work here are totally individual instructors. Try to say that fast without coffee.
And I think, like, let's say, now we have already talked about, let's say, the how we communicate. How do you work with the clients? How do you work with groups? And I think one aspect that you highlighted at the beginning when we talked about trust is to say, okay, I share something about my own journey. And I'm also, like, let's say, I'm opening up, I'm making myself vulnerable so you can be yourself as well. And in the next part, we want to talk a bit more about Marcus' individual journey. And now, fitness and health is the topic of today's CAP Talk. Now we get moving, and we're moving also more into Marcus' personal journey. And you have already shared with us that you also share something about yourself, some personal stories as an instructor, as also a personal trainer, to make it also easier for your clients to open up.
Yeah.
Now, you also very openly talk about some of the trials and tribulations you have faced regarding body image, sexual orientation. So could you talk a bit more about that and maybe what helped you to overcome it?
Well, when I started out in the training business, I was a bit heavier than I am right now, even with this barbell on top. It was heavy. And one of the challenges that I figured out was that people didn't saw me as a personal trainer or group instructor.
Yeah.
I often heard that you're so fat, how can you have customers and how can you just train them? You should train yourself.
Yeah.
And I just think that I am strong in a different way, so I overcome it that way of saying. And then the instructor role just helped me a bit. Or a bit much, actually. It's easier to be strong when you have people that just cheers you on.
Yeah.
So every time you do a squat like this, you have people just cheering you on.
Yeah.
Even if they also die in the group training session.
Yeah.
How do you feel in your legs?
I'm feeling good. A lot less weight. So would you say, just like the group, other people helped you a lot?
Yeah.
And just opening up about it, writing about it? Or?
Yeah. I've always been open about my sexuality. Everybody gives or takes notes about what I am, how I'm presenting myself.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. I'm becoming stronger to be open about my sexuality.
Great. Shall we switch exercises?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
My God.
Let's work the shoulders.
She's killing me.
And I think you also said, okay, there are people that say, okay, you are maybe too fat for this role.
Yep.
You should rather train yourself. So would you say there are stereotypes or certain pictures,
Yeah, it is.
ideas that we have of who, like, how should an instructor look like?
Yes.
How should a trainer be?
Yes. I've often heard that I look too fat to be an instructor. I'm too big to be a personal trainer. If I know all this about training, why aren't I using it myself? And Well, I know a lot about training, but I love the way I am, even if I'm a bit fluffy and rough about the edges. I love being a bit bigger because that's me. I've always been a bit big, and I want to show that it's okay to be big, even if you're a fitness instructor or a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you helped like a lot of people on the way as well.
I hope so.
And now these shoulders feel really good. But shall we just switch to another question and another exercise?
Yes, please.
So it won't get better.
Oh,
So we have the
plank.
plank for our final question in this video.
It's killing me.
So now that we are in this position where you already feel that I want to kill you, so every now and then we do have bad days.
Yep.
And so I think, like, let's say a lot of people also feel like you're this very happy person, you motivate others, and you also bring joy to people's life, but you also, everyone has their bad days.
Yeah.
So how do you get yourself then into the mindset of doing the job, even though if you maybe not feel like that every day?
Well, a lot of coffee. And then you have different kind of roles. Whenever you get into a group training session, when you find a client, you have different kind of roles with those people. So you're an actor,
Yeah,
give or take.
because that's very interesting. We have something called emotional labor.
You just don't see this. I put down on my knees.
We have a concept called emotional labor,
Yeah,
where we say, okay, like a stewardess is always smiling,
yeah,
and in a sense we also have that.
yeah.
So is there anything that helps you, like rituals to get into that, or?
I sing a lot.
Okay.
Always Swedish songs. I always sing slager. That always helps me. Dancing or anything like it. How's your stomach?
Oh, it's doing great.
Good for you.
But shall
I'm
we-
dying here.
But what do you say, shall we wrap up here?
Thank you.
And do a cool down.
Oh my lord.
Okay, thank God the workout is done. Now it's time to unwind, it's time for a stretch, and it's also time to close this interview. And we have taken a journey through when you, for example, did your first concept as a group training instructor, you founded your own business, to where you are today. And now we have Marcus back then, when you started out, and we have you today. If you could now travel back in time and give yourself a piece of advice to say, what is important in terms of communication? What would you have maybe liked to already know as you started out, that you have learned throughout the years?
A bit cliche, but don't be afraid. Just go with the flow and do whatever you need to do, and dream big. The way of communication is just don't be afraid to follow your voice and lead the people that you see, that you encounter. You won't die if you say anything wrong, and you won't fall through the ground if somebody doesn't like you. So that's what I would say to myself and to others who start their journey now. Don't be afraid. The worst thing that can happen is that you get a no.
And you also said, like, you won't, like, as you fall to the ground just because someone does not like you. And we have also talked about, like, let's say, your personal journey, as you, for example, also not only encountered praise, but you also had some obstacles on the way. And if you now look at, let's say, health and fitness as, like, let's say, an industry or like a business in which you're working on, if there's anything, like, let's say, that you could change about it and how we maybe look at it, what would that be?
The first thing I would change is the body image. Just because you're skinny and have a six-pack and big arm muscles doesn't mean that you're healthy. I can be just as healthy as the ones standing outside and lifting 200 kilos in a squat position. And another fellow personal trainer here just told me a few days ago, he doesn't have a good cardio, but he's ripped as hell. And he thinks that I have a better cardio than him, even if I'm not ripped. And that's often the thing with this industry. The more ripped you are, the healthier people think you are. And that's not true. You need to be healthy both in the body and in the mind.
And now that we have that problem and we know, okay, this needs to change, so what can we do? Maybe like, let's say, each individual, both of course those that maybe work in the industry, but also those that, for example, come to a gym or let's say come to a group training. So what can we do to contribute to that change?
Don't look down on anybody who don't have the dream body, that doesn't look like a fitness model. And don't share them up too much, because that can be a different kind of way for them. If you go towards them and just says, "Oh my God, it's so good you're here, even if you look like you do. I'm so happy for you," then it's going to be a different kind of reaction for them. So just be open and try to have more fun with life. We take it too seriously.
Okay, and with that advice of having more fun in life, I would like to thank you very much.
Thank you.
For taking the time for the CAP talk today, but also I think, like, let's say for myself and like, let's say my own journey, like starting here taking classes. So you've been like a very encouraging and an inspirational person.
Thank you.
Yeah, continuing to be that person that has also, like, let's say, made me look forward to come here and, like, let's say, maybe find more like self-esteem or like empowerment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're wonderful to have on classes. You're really wonderful. I just love your smile every time we go down and have something in body pump here. I was like, I hate you, Marcus.
Okay, so thanks for watching. That was today's CAP Talk.
Thank you.